Hey,
Thanks, Dan.
thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm
How's are you taking a break from set right now? Is it lunch?
Yeah, no, I'm writing on this comedy, this sitcom called Mid-Century Modern, which is going to be on Hulu in end of March. And we're writing the finale. We're writing
Oh
the
boy.
final episode. So I snuck out of the writer's room to we're doing a run through at one. So I snuck out of the writer's room to
So somewhere there's a whiteboard, there's multiple scenes, somebody's at the board saying this works, this doesn't. We got 2 minutes to fix this.
Well, what's interesting is this show is written, we write it as a group, as a writer's room. So there's a writer's assistant who's typing the actual episode while people are yelling stuff out. And the showrunner like takes what he wants or grabs what he likes from what people are yelling out, and it works its way up on the board. It's a very unique way of doing a comedy show, but it works.
Interesting. So there's no you go do the outline, bring it into the room. No, it's a whole different vibe.
No, like I've written on dramas before. I've written on dramedies, single camera, but on a multicam like this, it really is a collective brain that spits out the actual script. Sometimes the
Yeah.
person who's authored that episode has come up with the concept for the episode, the story for the episode,
Yeah.
but we all pitch jokes and moments and moves and shifts, and we write it as a group, and it gets done very quickly that way.
Yeah. Do you find your strength in story or in punches, in punch ups, or you know what I mean? Do you kind of lean one way or the other when it comes to your writing style?
I've always been, I haven't spent a lot of time over the years. I've been in writers' rooms from Grey's Anatomy to Lipstick Jungle, which was a soap opera, and now to this show, which is a sitcom. So it really depends on the genre of show. I tend to be more of a story person, but as I've been working with these amazing writers and these creators from Will and Grace, I have been exercising my pitch brain,
Uh-huh.
which is works more like a punch up, which works
Yeah.
more like, oh, what if we said this? And I throw out jokes, and turns out I'm a lot funnier than I ever thought I was.
Well, listen, when you're funny, you can do drama, but it doesn't always go the other way.
You're exactly right. And that's true as an actor as well as a writer. I mean, the truth is some of the best dramatic actors are the ones who can play the comedy and do.
Yeah.
And so that's for sure true.
I learned that I got to work with Aaron Paul, who's a great dramatic actor.
Yes,
But
he
and
is.
Aaron Paul basically said to me day one, he's like, "Listen, bro, I'm not funny. I don't pretend to be funny. I don't do a lot of comedy." I was like, "Enough said. We'll shift this dark comedy. We'll lean it into more drama for you."
Yeah, it's
But
his area. Yeah, it's you often can count on the funny people to get the pathos. And we've been shooting episodes, and in a sitcom you table read one day, you rehearse the next day, and then you're suddenly shooting like a live show, like a play. And Nathan Lane is the star of this show, and
oh, he's funny.
there's no better example of an
Yeah,
actor who can knock it out of the park comedically, and then in the very next scene is
yeah,
totally dramatic. It's amazing.
yeah. What a great experience. And you've had a lot of experiences, but this
This
sounds
is
like
a
a
good one.
fun, sounds like a good run.
It's been a good one. I'm part-time on this show, and I've been shooting as an actor all of season 4 of Hacks.
Right.
So to be with that group of comedy legends and to be on a show like that, which has been such a blast, and
Yeah.
bouncing back and forth between Hacks and Mid-Century has been a real blessing and really fun to like exercise your brain. As you know, like
Yeah.
the stand-up brain is one thing, and
Yeah.
writing jokes is another thing, and then longer form takes a whole other kind of discipline for your brain. So I feel
Yes.
lucky to get that kind of workout.
I think it's all good exercise because I talked to Bill Burr and I was sort of complaining. I'm like, sometimes writing takes me out of stand up if I'm doing this over here. And he's like, stop complaining. You know what I mean? He's like, you're building another muscle. And
Yeah.
it's really true. I think if you keep building that entertainment muscle, whatever it is, you'll be ready for anything,
You know
whether
who
it's
says that a lot is Hannah Einbinder, who is a stand-up. She comes from
yeah,
comedy. royalty in Lorraine Newman, but she was an amazing stand-up. I saw her open for Chelsea Handler, and what she's getting to do on Hacks, which is like her first role as an actress,
Yeah,
has really stretched what she's capable of, and it's gonna form sort of the rest of her career. It's
yeah.
it's awesome to watch.
Were you with Hacks in the very beginning?
No,
No.
no, no.
What,
I
you came on what,
am
second,
one of the
third?
executive producers of Hacks is this guy Mike Schur, who everyone knows has obviously
Yeah,
created a ton of shows and ran Parks and Rec and created a lot of series. And um, but he was on our writers' room in the first season of The Comeback for HBO, which is back in 2005, right? So
yeah.
here, 20 years later, and I had an opportunity to play Deborah Vance's producer of Late Night. And it was such a great opportunity. And no, I came in at the end of season three, and now I'm doing all of season four, and it's been a total gift.
Yeah, you're catching a real cool glimpse of the stand-up behind the scenes world, what that
Totally.
life looks like on the road, what it is,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Two different generations of comics and
Yeah. Yeah.
tension. Did you ever attempt stand-up in your whole world, in your world of entertainment through all the stuff? Ever think about it or never?
I think about it all the time. It's like the scariest thing I've never tried. And I think about it all the time because I did do a lot of that kind of essay writing that you then perform in front of a live audience. I've written a book that's comedic, and I've read
Yeah.
chapters of my book in front of a microphone in a comedy club. Like I've had adjacent experiences, but always with text in front of me.
Uh-huh.
And I am petrified of writing a 5 minute, 8 minute, 10 minute set and trying it
Yeah.
out. And I know that the things that scare you the most are the things you need to try. So it's
Yeah.
completely on my bucket list.
Yeah.
But it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, you'll try it. It's interesting because over the years, I'm probably doing stand up maybe 20 years almost. And I've seen, actors come in the game for a little period of time. And you can kind of see they're feeling it out. They're selling some tickets because they have a name in acting. But then maybe 3 or 4 years later, they're tapped out. And
Oh,
it is a different world. It's like stand up, you're all in. And
yeah.
and it's not for everybody.
Do you know John Rudnitsky?
Very well. I love John.
So he's a dear, dear friend of mine. I played his father in this Lindsay Lohan Christmas movie that's on Netflix right now. He and I have been buddies for a bit, and I play his dad in the movie, but we're actually buddies. But his life he's a great actor and a really funny guy, but his life as a stand-up and how much he loves it, and
Yeah,
he's never more alive than when he is interacting with the
yeah,
audience, doing his stand-up. And I know that I don't have that kind of hunger, but
uh-huh,
he's always encouraging me to like
yeah.
just try.
You don't need that hunger. You're working nonstop. You're writing on one show, you're acting on another show. Who's
No,
balancing the schedule?
but what I mean is like what you're saying, which is like I could try it out and maybe it's fun and whatever, but whether or not I could stick it out for like a long time,
Yeah,
I think it would depend on how much it like feeds me and it's like, oh, I have to do it. He cannot not do it. When we were in Atlanta shooting that Christmas movie, he like every time we wrapped, he was like looking for the three clubs in Atlanta where he could just drop in. And he just can't not do it. And
yeah,
I definitely don't feel that way. I can
yeah,
definitely not do it.
yeah. There's an addiction to that, to the high of getting on stage, but it's also
Yeah.
like an addiction to trying to better your act, right? Like if
Yes.
so, like comics have that thing where if it didn't work last night, I can't wait to get back up and try it again. You
I don't, what
know?
do I need to do? Like, and the thing is, even we know this in the comedy writers room of a sitcom. Sometimes it's changing one word. Sometimes it's just hitting a different word or taking just longer of a beat. That part of it I find fascinating. Just
Yeah,
understanding comedic timing and
yeah, of
how the words you use can change your
course.
joke totally.
Right. Why is a K funnier than an S?
Yeah, just
On the
is.
end of yeah, it just is. That's caveman. That's caveman life. You know what I mean?
It
That's
just
just when sounds were funny.
That's right.
it's going all the way back.
That's right.
Yeah. What do you so what's your role? So I haven't seen Hacks this season. Did it come out yet? The new
No, no, no.
season?
It's not. We're still
Okay,
shooting.
good.
Season three is out and it's
Yeah.
great. It's probably the best season, I think. And not because I'm in it briefly,
Yeah.
but see, we're still shooting season four and it'll come out, in a few months.
Yeah. Let me ask you, do you have a preference? Because you've written now, you've acted, you've done all of it. Like, is there, where does your heart land like with all this? Is it, are you good? Are you in love with writing just like you're in love with acting? Or is it,
I'm
you know what
not
I
in
mean?
love.
You know,
Writing is the hardest thing on the planet, so I'm never in love with it.
yeah,
But there's nothing more satisfying, of course, than having it written and then seeing it realized.
yeah,
I think I've always been an actor first, so that's always my first love. It's what I gravitate towards. But
yeah.
I've been producing for 20 years. I was Lisa Kudrow's producing partner for 17 years. We've made
Wow.
documentary series and comedies, and we made The Comeback. And I produce a game show called 25 Words or Less, which is so much fun to do. I'm now at a point where I just love being creative. I love
Yeah.
being able to come up with ideas, whether they're scripted or unscripted, and trying to see them realized. But first love, if I had to strip all of it away, I think I'd always be an actor first.
Yeah. Did you study acting at school? You went to Vassar? Is that where you went to school?
I did. I went to Vassar College and
In
I did study
Poughkeepsie.
acting. I did study acting there, and then I graduated, moved to New York, and I was in acting class there. Um, I was also a graduate of the National Theater Institute at the Eugene O'Neill Theater Center in Connecticut. So I studied over the years,
Yeah.
um, different stage, different kinds of acting, and but really haven't been in a class in a very long time. Probably should.
Why? Just to work a new muscle or just kind of
Yeah,
you
I
feel
think
like you
it's
get think
it's
it's
not good
important?
to, it's good to not necessarily rest on what you believe is like, oh yeah, I got this. I mean, there's always something to learn from people who know better,
Yeah.
and so I'm sort of I might be itching to get back into a class one of these days too.
You know how acting evolved, whatever in the 60s, or who, I might be getting the years wrong, but like the Uta Hagen phases and then the actor studio phases and acting took on a natural. Do you see a new evolvement? Like, is there any, like, is there another level that it's going to? Like, or is it what it is? Whatever works for you, works for you. But, they got stiff, actors got loose with Brando. And then, I don't know, you
Yeah,
always think like, there was Michael Jordan and then came LeBron. Are we evolving are there new acting techniques? Are there things that you're learning or things you can learn? I don't know.
I think it's all about what speaks to an individual person. The end result, I think, is always the same. How do you recreate real life in an artificial setting? And whether this person's philosophy or this person's philosophy or this person's philosophy is the thing that gets you to be able to tap into reality and recreate it. It just depends. I do think there's a bit of a snowball effect that this person studied with this person, but then evolved a technique and was able to then teach a kind of version of it. And as the years progress, I do think that there's kind of innovation in the way people speak about teaching acting. I studied with someone who had gone to Yale Drama School, but the way she phrased approaching a text and acting was I thought, very innovative, and it clicked for me. For someone
Yeah.
else, they might need something totally different. So it's very personal.
It's so interesting because you'll talk to people who've been in classes and study for years and they got their technique, they pull here, here, and here. And then you'll talk to somebody who just invented their own technique and what worked for them. So I think to your point, right?
No, there's
Whatever
people
gets you to the
whatever gets you to the end result. Like there are people who've never read an acting book or been in an acting class, and for whatever reason, they intuitively can look at a text and then just, sometimes the less trained is the most compelling. I just think if you want to do theater and television and
yeah,
film, there's a lot of technique involved, and if you
yeah.
study, you wind up being very limited to what you can do.
Yeah. Were you friends with the producers from Hacks? Did they pluck you, or was that an audition process just like every other job these
I
days?
auditioned, but I happened to know Mike Schur. So he
Got it.
knew I auditioned, and I think I had done the comeback with him, and they were all fans of the comeback. And I think they knew that I was sort of throwing my hat in the ring to play some part. I was a fan of the show. And
Yeah.
so we were all excited about working together.
Have you ever shot a pilot that you thought this is the greatest thing I've ever shot? This is going to be a smash hit, and it went nowhere. Have you ever had that
Um,
experience
I,
along the way?
uh, Let me think. That's happened much more with series for me. Like
Okay.
I was in a reboot of 24, and I thought, oh my God, this is it. Like I'm going to be working for the next 6 years. Like this is definitely going. And we
Right.
did 9 episodes, and it was over.
Wow. I
And
remember the hype on it.
we did another one. I did another one for ABC called The Baker and the Beauty, and people loved it. And it was a romantic comedy, and it was a 1 hour, and it was based on an international format, and people loved it. And we only did one season, so you never know.
You never know.
Even when you think you're in a hit, it just what's going to make people watch. You have no way of knowing. Or you
Right.
can be in a piece of crap, and you're like, "This is a piece of crap that I'm in," and people are like, "I love that show."
Isn't it unbelievable?
Yeah, you just
Who's at the top? You don't even know where the decision comes from. Where's who's the final say? Is it just a group of network
Well,
exec?
believe it or not, it still lands on the viewer. Like what's going to make people watch and whether it gets good reviews or not, whether a network head loves the show or not, they can certainly keep it on longer, even if no one's watching it.
Yeah,
They have that ability. But really, it's up to the viewers. When
yeah,
people tune in, the power lies with them.
yeah.
So yeah, that's the key.
But it's interesting because they don't. It's the days of like a Seinfeld getting a shot when there wasn't any viewers in the beginning. Those days are gone. So it's like if you're not getting hit, if you're not hitting the viewers immediately, people are quicker to pull a trigger on you.
I think you're
And
right. I think you're
right?
right. I
Like they
think
used to give something a shot. They would give it a chance to find its legs, but maybe the world's just moving too fast. And I don't know.
yeah,
My
there's
social media game's off.
those stories of like ER that like they didn't think they were going to make that work, and Seinfeld it was like that real didn't test well,
Right.
and Everybody Loves Raymond it was like wasn't really getting it. The network wasn't going to pick it up, and West Wing, which they thought we'll do the pilot, nobody will ever watch this, and the truth is that they gave those shows time to find their audience, and they did, and they were legendary.
Yeah.
And it's harder for that to happen these days. Like something really has to get sticky very fast.
Yeah. It's funny. Are you seeing? I don't know what your social media game is like. I didn't really look on your Instagram or anything, but like, do you feel any added pressure from this world? It seems like you're doing great, getting jobs, doing your thing. But like, how do you feel about that? What's your take on the social? Like, I wish the social media would just be done.
Me
Like,
too. Me too.
let the product stand, move on.
And I think some people have the luxury of that happening. I often find myself in situations where I don't have the opportunities that I wish I did, all because of social media. That I have to continuously try to crack social because it is the gateway to so many other opportunities. And sadly, that is still the case. The numbers of people, your ability as a performer, as an artist, as a writer, as an actor, whatever that might be, as a speaker,
Yeah.
you're it's all based on a popularity number that you have to be able to draw that then proves to somebody else that it's worth the risk. And so
Yeah.
as much as I hate it, I'm trying to play that game as hard as I can.
Yeah.
And I'm not really cut out for it, but I keep trying because really ultimately opportunities continue to open up
Right.
the more your presence there explodes.
Right. I just took the simple approach now. My buddy's like, listen, just release a video every day at the same time and see what happens.
That's a
You
good
know what I
idea.
mean? Well, yeah, you get people talk algorithm, this. 10 a.m., then it changes. And I had a friend that worked at TikTok, and she's like, the joke of the day was people talking about the algorithm. Like that was the joke at
You know,
TikTok, was like, trying to find what the
trying
perfect
to,
time to release something. It's like,
um,
it's
yeah,
hard enough to just create something great that you think is great. Now you got to go take another piece of your brain and work on social media. I'm not I'm having a rough one with it.
it's tough. I mean, that's why being a stand-up, I guess, is helpful only in that little pieces of an act that you know works, at least as
Yeah.
automatic content. But to try to come up with new content all the time, or to
Yeah.
try to be really honest or political, or to be, influential in some
Yeah.
way, or to have a nonprofit that you care about, or to have a
Right.
meal that you want to share. I try to do a little bit of all of it, and it's really
Right.
hard. It's
Right.
really hard.
My charity's only got 80 followers. That's a tough, even your charity's suffering,
That's
right?
right.
That's not,
We'll keep
yeah,
pushing. Keep pushing.
yeah,
Tomorrow might
yeah.
be 81.
That's all we're hoping for. We're just trying to save some people's lives over here.
That's right.
Yeah, but it's well, the good news is in the stand-up world, they're starting to see a little shift happen again where the funniest people are again starting to sell tickets because it did go through a multi-year situation of if you got, millions of followers, you are going to sell out at the improvs around the country. But you could ask Rudnitsky, you know what I mean? If you're not funny, which a lot of these guys are not funny, they just happen to master the social game. So they're
Correct.
they're a one and done on their tour.
There's lots of examples of that.
Yeah, and Rudnitsky, he's funny. I mean,
He's
I've done
really,
shows with him many times.
he's genuinely funny. He's a
Yeah,
great, and it's true. There are people who manage to say a few funny things. Their social media following is huge.
right.
It buys them the ability to sell a lot of tickets,
Yeah,
and they can't sustain it.
yeah. I don't know if it goes the. I don't know if it affects move ticket sales. I don't know. Like on shows that you're on, do the producers go, how many followers do you have? Not to you, but like to some of the other cast members.
They do
Are
look.
they kind of on that world?
They do look every once in a while if you're trying to get if someone's trying to get a part and they are not well known, but they
Right.
have a huge following,
It
it
helps.
becomes an incentive to bring them onto the show because it will bring an audience to the show. They think.
They think.
Uh, they, yeah, they think. I mean, the
They
truth is just
think.
loving somebody fast while you're on a exercise bike, while you're looking at your Instagram does not necessarily mean that 5 days later you're going to tune in at 8 o'clock on Netflix to see something drop.
Correct.
It doesn't connect.
I
What it
can't
does
wait.
do, what it does do though, is if you can click on a post that takes you directly to content, that does help. So if the
Right.
show you're pushing has a link on it right on your phone and you're
Yeah.
pushing your social, that
Yeah.
they know that that works. But you can promote something that's a week away and no
Right.
one has that ability to think.
I am so trying to figure out the algorithms, man. I'm buying ads for our tour. I don't even know where the ads live.
I
All this
know.
ad buying. Show me an ad, you know?
All you can do is what you can do. Just put the stuff out there and the people will come.
I believe that. I believe that. So tell me the show that you're working on right now. I know you're on Hacks. I
I'm
took
on
you there
Hacks. I'm
before.
writing on Mid-Century Modern, and it will premiere on Hulu at the end of March.
Hulu at the end of March. Okay, great. You don't know the date yet, but it's coming on Hulu.
March
By the way,
28th.
big comedy. They're making a big move over there with comedy now, Hulu. A
Yes.
lot of
Yeah.
comedians moving over to Hulu.
And this is a multicam show. And so if this works, then it would open the door for other multicam shows. So all of
Yeah,
that is a good thing.
awesome. Well, yo, man, I really
Well,
appreciate you coming on the Rock Comedy Tour pod.
it was it was
We're
great
going
to
all over
meet
the
you.
country.
Good. I love it. I love
Great,
it.
great to meet you. I'll tell Dave thank you and Ivy thank you for booking you. And
I'm gonna follow you on all your socials.
you got to follow me, man. Follow me. I'm following you to the writer's room.
Hey, nice
All
meeting
right.
you.
Take it easy, Dan.
Thanks.
See you, buddy.